Hello and welcome to another Warmachine battle report. Today I've got a 50-point game of Convergence versus Legion. This is Sean and Ben. So you're playing which caster?
The Divinity Architect, Father Lucant.
Father Lucant versus?
The Blightbringer.
Thagrosh. So this should be very interesting. A side note also, I should let you guys know, Ben here has a new channel started. A YouTube channel called Should Have Turned Left, which will be linked in the description below. You also do a lot of Warmachine battle reports, sort of the fixed camera style with a constant review, right?
Yeah,
so,
fixed camera, play at double speed, drunken commentary.
Also with way more frequency than me. So if you want to see more Albuquerque battles and games, then definitely check out his channel. Like I said, it'll be linked in the description below. So let's see how this game goes. Legion is being led by Thagrosh, Prophet of Everblight. His battle group includes a Ravagore, a Shredder, and the Blightbringer. He also has 2 Strider Deathstalkers, a full unit of Blighted Ogren War Spears with a Chieftain, a Blighted Nis Shepherd, and another full unit of Blighted Ogren War Spears with a Chieftain. Convergence is being led by Father Lucant, Divinity Architect. His battle group includes a Corollary, an Inverter, and the Prime Axiom. He also brought along the Optifex Directive, a full unit of Obstructors, 2 Enigma Foundries, a full unit of Reciprocators, and 3 Reflex Servitors. Legion wins the starting roll and decided to go first. They are playing the Steamroller 2015 scenario Recon. Urban Matz was nice enough to provide me with their newest desert mat to play on. Legion deploys with the Blightbringer front and center, and Ogren War Spears on either flank. Prey targets are the Prime Axiom and the Reciprocators. Convergence deploys with the battle group in the center, and the Reciprocators and Obstructors on opposite flanks. Legion, turn 1. A Strider Deathstalker runs up field to the flag. The next Deathstalker runs up into the zone. The Blightbringer activates and uses Dragon's Breath for +2 strength and armor. He then riles and runs 8 inches upfield. The War Spears activate and issue a charge run order, targeting the Prime Axiom. The charge gives them Pathfinder to get through the forest. Thagrosh activates and spends 2 Fury to put Draconic Blessing on a unit of Ogren War Spears. He then casts the Shredder's Tenacity Animus on himself for free because of Attuned Spirit. He then discards 2 Fury and charges Father Lucant. The charge fails, of course. The Ravagore runs upfield. The next unit of War Spears activate and run. The Nis Shepherd walks up behind the War Spears. The Shredder activates and runs up next to the Shepherd. Convergence, turn 1. Father Lucant allocates 1 focus to the Inverter. A Reflex Servitor advances up and then digs in. Another Reflex Servitor does the same thing. And the third one also moves up and digs in. The Inverter activates and spends a focus to run. The focus is inducted to the Prime Axiom. The Prime Axiom spends a focus to run. The focus is inducted to the Corollary. The Corollary activates and gains 1 focus due to the Accumulator rule. It then advances up toward the Axiom. Father Lucant activates and advances up. He then spends 3 focus to cast Deceleration, increasing friendly models' armor and defense by 2. The Optifex Directive runs up to base each of the Warjacks. The Reciprocators issue a Shield Wall order and advance up 5 inches. Their variable weapon is Set Defense this round. The Enigma Foundry advances behind the Reciprocators. The Obstructors issue a run order and move up the field. The last Enigma Foundry runs into base contact with the Axiom. Legion, turn 2. Thagrosh leeches Fury back to full. He spends 1 Fury to upkeep Draconic Blessing. a Deathstalker forfeits movement to aim and targets an obstructor. She needs a 4 to hit and makes it. The Sniper rule auto-wounds, and the Enigma Foundry collects a soul. Swift Hunter triggers and the Deathstalker moves up slightly and snap fires on an obstructor in the forest. He needs a 6 to hit, which makes it and destroys another model. The Enigma Foundry collects another soul. Swift Hunter triggers again and the Deathstalker moves toward the forest. A unit of Ogryn War Spears activate and issue an assault order. 2 of them target the Prime Axiom and the other 3 run. The assault shots are short, however, and automatically miss. Thagrosh activates and spends 3 Fury to cast Fog of War. He casts the Shredder's Tenacity Animus on himself again. He spends 1 Fury to cast the Ravagor's Animus Draconic Fire on the Blightbringer. Thagrosh then advances up to the objective. The Blightbringer activates and uses the Dragon's Breath aura again for +2 strength and armor. He then advances up and shoots at the Prime Axiom. He boosts the attack roll and hits. The Prime Axiom is on fire, as well as one of the Optifix Directive models and the Enigma Foundry. The Blightbringer boosts the damage roll at dice -7 and causes 2 damage to column 1 on the right side of the Axiom. It's a power 8 blast on the Optifix Directive, and with Iron Sentinel does no damage. It's dice -12 on the Enigma Foundry, who takes no damage. The Shredder activates and casts the Tenacity Animus on the Blightbringer. He then moves toward the Gargantuan. Another Deathstalker activates and advances back, and then takes a shot at an obstructor. She needs a 6 to hit and makes it. It auto-wounds and kills the obstructor, and the Enigma Foundry gains another soul. Swift Hunter triggers, and the Deathstalker moves up and shoots with Snapfire at another obstructor, again needing a 6. The attack hits and kills another obstructor. Swift Hunter triggers again, and she moves back. The Ravagor activates and advances up slightly. He spends a Fury to cast Dragon's Fire on himself. He then shoots at the Inverter. He boosts the attack roll, needing a 7. It hits and sets the Inverter and a member of the Optifix Directive on fire. The Ravagor boosts damage at dice -6 and causes 8 damage to column 1. The Ravagor also boosts on the Optifix Directive at dice -8, which kills him. The Enigma Foundry collects a soul. The second unit of War Spears activate and issue a run order. The Shepherd advances and removes all 4 Fury from the Ravagor. Convergence turn 2. We roll to see if the fire goes out. The fire stays on the Inverter, the Prime Axiom, the Optifix Directive, but goes out on the Enigma Foundry. It's dice -9 on the Inverter, who takes no damage. The Axiom takes no damage. The Optifix Directive dies, however, and must now pass a command check. But they are okay. Father Lucant allocates no focus. The Corollary activates and gains a focus, then performs power transfer to allocate all 3 focus to the Prime Axiom. This inducts 1 focus to the Inverter. The Prime Axiom activates and advances up. He targets the leader of the War Spears with the right toe cable. It boosts the attack and inducts a focus back to the Corollary. The attack needs an 11 to hit and misses. The left toe cable targets another War Spear and misses as well. Axiom fires the Excella Spiker at the Blightbringer and misses. It's auto-fire 3, so the next attack targets Thagrosh and boosts, needing a 14, and just barely misses. The next target is onto the Blightbringer and hits this time at dice -9, which does no damage. The Enigma Foundry activates and performs Reconstruction to bring back 3 of the obstructors. The Reflex Servitor advances and digs in. Another Reflex Servitor moves up and digs in. Father Lucant activates and bases the objective, then casts Deceleration again for 3 focus and feats. All friendly faction models in his control area gain 4 armor for a round. The Inverter activates and runs, inducting a focus to the Corollary. The Inverter moves into the zone. The last Reflex Servitor advances and digs in. The Reciprocators activate and issue a shield wall order and move up. Their variable weapon is set defense. The Enigma Foundry activates and moves up behind the reciprocators. The Obstructors activate and issue a charge run order, heading for the War Spears and the Deathstalker. 4 models make their charge and the remaining models run. One of the Obstructors is affected by Thagrosh's Death Shroud. 2 Obstructors make a combined melee attack on the War Spear. They need a 6 to hit and miss. The next model needs an 8 to hit and makes it. It's dice -5 for damage and kills the War Spear. The last Obstructor swings on a Deathstalker and misses. The last member of the Optifix Directive runs to the front of the corollary. Legion, turn 3. Thagrosh leeches 5 Fury and spends 1 to upkeep Draconic Blessing. He lets Fog of War drop. The Ogren War Spears receive an assault order and start charging their reciprocators. All but 1 War Spear gain the benefit of prey. The first assault shot on a reciprocator needs a 7 to hit and misses. The second shot hits, but it's dice -9 and causes no damage. The next War Spear makes a charge attack on the Inverter and hits. It's dice -8, and the Inverter takes 1 damage to column 1. Thagrosh activates and puts Tenacity on himself again. He spends 1 Fury to put Dragon's Fire on the Blightbringer. He then spends a Fury to put Tenacity on a Deathstalker. The Blightbringer activates and puts Dragon's Breath on himself, then aims a shot at an Obstructor. He boosts the hit, needing a 7. It connects and sets 4 models on fire. It's dice -5 for damage on the primary target, which kills him. The Enigma Foundry collects a soul. The Blightbringer boosts the blast damage on the remaining 3 Obstructors. He needs 13 to kill. The first model is killed. Another soul goes to the Enigma Foundry. The second model is fine, and the last model is also fine. The next unit of War Spears issue an assault order. 2 charge the Obstructors, and 1 charges the Prime Axiom. 2 models succeed their charges. The first assault shot needs a 9 to hit, and makes it. It's dice -5 for damage and hits armor. The assault shot on the Axiom hits, but causes no damage. The first charge attack on an Obstructor needs a 5 to hit, and makes it. It's dice -5 for damage and kills him. The Enigma Foundry is now full. The last charge attack also hits and kills another model. The Deathstalker activates and aims at an Obstructor. She needs an 8 to hit because the model is in melee. The shot misses and ends up hitting his own model at dice -8, and causes no damage. The Deathstalker aims and shoots at an Obstructor. She needs a 4 to hit and makes it. This kills another model. Swift Hunter triggers and she moves back slightly and snap fires at an engaged Obstructor. She needs an 8 to hit, misses, and has to target another model. She ends up hitting the War Spear again, but causes no damage. The Ravagore forfeits movement to aim. He casts Draconic Fire on himself and targets a reciprocator. He boosts, needing a 7 to hit. The shot connects and sets 4 models on fire. It's dice -11 for damage, and the reciprocator is unharmed. The blast damage cannot hurt anyone else. The Shredder activates and puts Tenacity on the Blightbringer, and moves behind the Gargantuan. The Shepherd advances and removes all 4 Fury from the Blightbringer. Convergence, turn 3. First, we roll to see if the fire goes out. Only the Obstructor's fire goes out. It's dice -4 for fire damage on the reciprocators. The first one takes 2 damage. The next one takes 6 damage. The next one takes 3 damage. And the last one takes 5 damage. The Inverter takes no damage. And the Prime Axiom also takes no damage. Lucant keeps all 7 focus. A Reflex Servitor advances toward a War Spear and detonates. The melee attack needs a 7 to hit and misses. This centers a 4-inch AoE on the Servitor, who is removed from play. The Deathstalker is hit at dice -4 for damage, and the Deathstalker dies. It's dice -9 on the War Spear, who is unharmed. Another Reflex Servitor moves up and detonates. It needs a 7 to directly hit and makes it. It's dice -2 on the War Spear, who takes 4 damage. The blast cannot hurt the Inverter. The last reflex servitor does the same thing and hits the War Spear at dice -2, who takes 3 damage. The Optifix Directive moves into base contact with the Prime Axiom and attempts to repair. The repair check fails. The Enigma Foundry moves up and performs Reconstruction to return 3 obstructors to play. Father Lucant activates and backs up slightly. He spends 3 focus to cast Deceleration again, and 2 more to cast Positive Charge on the Inverter. The Corollary activates and is allocated 1 focus for being near Lucant. It floats toward Lucant and performs Power Transfer, allocating 3 focus to the Prime Axiom and allocating 1 to the Inverter. The Inverter advances up into melee with 2 War Spears. It uses the Macro Pummeler on the first War Spear, needing a 4 to hit. The War Spear is hit and knocked down. The damage is dice +6, which automatically kills the War Spear. The next attack is with the Meteor Hammer, needing a 4, which makes it. It's dice +3, which automatically kills the War Spear as well. The Reciprocators activate and issue a Shield Wall order and variable melee set defense. They advance up. A Reciprocator swings on a War Spear, needing a 5 to hit, which makes it. It's dice -4 for damage and kills the War Spear. The Enigma Foundry advances and attempts to repair the Inverter, but fails. The Obstructors issue a Charge Run order and charge the War Spears. 2 Obstructors make a combined melee attack on the War Spear and hit. It's dice -3 for damage, and the War Spear dies. Another 2 Obstructors make a combined melee attack on the War Spear, needing a 4, and hits. Again, it's dice -3, and the War Spear takes 6 damage. The last 2 Obstructors attempt a combined melee attack and miss. The Prime Axiom advances into the zone. The Excella Spiker targets the Deathstalker, but with stealth the attack automatically misses. The Autofire 3 gun then targets a War Spear Chieftain. The Axiom boosts the attack, inducting 1 to the Corollary. The attack misses, and the next shot targets the Blightbringer. The attack hits at dice -9, causing no damage. The left toe cable targets the War Spear near the Ravagore. It boosts the attack, needing a 9, and misses. It boosts the left toe cable shot at the nearest War Spear, needing a 9, and hits. The War Spear is already in melee with the Axiom and takes a point of damage because of puncture. This triggers a melee attack from the Axiom, needing a 4 to hit, and makes it. Damage is dice +2, which kills the War Spear. The Axiom then places a Reflex Servitor. The Reflex Servitor advances toward a War Spear and detonates. The attack directly hits, but causes no damage. Legion, turn 4. Thagrosh leeches 3 Fury and spends 1 Fury to upkeep Draconic Blessing on the War Spears. A unit of War Spears issue an Assault order, targeting the Prime Axiom. 1 targets the Enigma Foundry. The War Spear targeting the Enigma Foundry needs a 7 to hit and misses. The other 2 War Spears need 4s to hit and make it. It's dice -7 for damage, and the Axiom takes no damage. The next War Spear also hits and causes no damage. The first charge attack hits the Axiom at dice -5. It takes 2 damage to column 2 on the right side. The second charge attack also hits and causes 3 damage to column 5 on the left side. The Deathstalker runs into the zone. Thagrosh activates and moves toward the objective. He casts Draconic Blessing on the Blightbringer and puts Tenacity on himself. He spends 1 Fury to put Tenacity on the Blightbringer as well. The Blightbringer activates his Dragon's Breath aura and charges the Prime Axiom. The first attack is with the tail. He hits on anything but double 1s and makes it. It's straight dice for damage. The Axiom takes 8 damage to column 4 on the right side. The Bite also hits at straight dice and causes 2 damage to column 2 on the right side. The Blightbringer buys a Bite attack, which hits, causing 11 damage to column 2 on the right side. Blightbringer buys a Tail attack and hits, causing 9 damage to column 1. which spills over to column 3 on the left side. Another tail attack hits, causing 8 more damage to column 4. A final attack is made which hits and causes 4 damage to column 3. The War Spears activate and issue an assault order, targeting the reciprocators. The first assault shot needs a 5 to hit and makes it. The inverter shield guards and takes dice -8 for damage and is unharmed. The next assault shot also hits, and hits hard enough to kill the reciprocator. The Enigma Foundry collects a soul. The last assault shot hits and causes 4 damage. The first charge attack needs a 5 to hit and makes it. It's dice -5 for damage and kills the reciprocator. The Enigma Foundry collects a soul. The next charge attack also hits and kills another reciprocator. The Ravagore charges the Prime Axiom and just barely fails the charge. The Shredder is forced to go rabid and advances 8 inches up. It then puts Tenacity on the Ravagore. The Shepherd advances and removes 4 Fury from the Blightbringer. Convergence, turn 4. We roll to see if the fire goes out. The Reciprocator, Inverter, and Axiom are still on fire. It's dice -4 on the Reciprocator, who dies from the fire. It's dice -7 on the Inverter, who takes 1 damage to column 4. It's dice -8 on the Axiom, who takes no damage. Lucant allocates 3 focus to the Inverter. The Enigma Foundry activates and returns 1 Reciprocator to play. Lucant advances and spends 2 focus to cast Positive Charge on the Prime Axiom. The Optifix Directive bases the Axiom and attempts to repair. This time he makes it. 5 damage is removed and 2 systems are restored. The other Enigma Foundry advances toward the Prime Axiom, but can't base it to repair. The Corollary activates and puts 2 focus on the Axiom, and inducts another. The Inverter moves up and attacks the Ravagore with the Macro Pummeler. It needs a 6 to hit and makes it. The Ravagore is knocked down. It's dice +1 for damage, which the Inverter boosts and inducts to the Corollary. The Ravagore takes 10 damage to Spiral 3. The Meteor Hammer auto-hits the Ravagore at dice -2. The Warbeast takes 3 damage to Spiral 5. The Inverter buys an attack and causes 3 damage to Spiral 2. It buys another attack, causing 5 damage to Spiral 3. The Reciprocators activate with variable melee empowered attack and issue a shield wall order. The first Reciprocator automatically hits the Ravagore at dice -5, causing 3 damage to Spiral 6. The next Reciprocator attacks the Warspear Chieftain and hits. It's dice -6 for damage, causing 2 damage. The Axiom activates and punches the Blightbringer with the right drill vise. It hits on anything but double ones and makes it. It's straight dice for damage, and the Blightbringer takes 6 damage to Spiral 5. The left drill vise targets the Ravagore, who is automatically hit at dice +1 and kills the Ravagore. Thagrosh reaves the Fury. The Axiom buys an attack with the right arm, which automatically hits because of sustained attack. It's straight dice, and the Gargantuan takes 6 damage to Spiral 2. Axiom buys another attack, causing 6 damage to Spiral 6. It buys 1 more attack, causing 2 damage to Spiral 3. The Obstructors activate and crowd around the War Spears. 5 models make a combined melee attack on the War Spear. They hit on anything but double ones, and roll exactly that. The remaining 2 make a combined melee attack on the other War Spear. They hit on anything but double ones, and hit. It's dice -5, but they cause no damage. Legion, turn 5. Thagrosh leeches 3 Fury and spends 1 to upkeep Draconic Blessing. The War Spears activate and advance slightly. The first War Spear attacks the Axiom and hits. It's dice -5, and the Axiom takes 6 damage to column 4 on the left side. The next War Spear hits at dice -5, causing 5 more damage to column 4. The last War Spear does not attack. The Blightbringer activates and puts the Withering Ash aura up. He then advances toward the inverter, but can't make it into melee with it. It bites the Prime Axiom and hits. It's straight dice for damage, and the Axiom is destroyed. Prey has been moved to an Enigma Foundry. The Blightbringer attacks the Reciprocator with its tail and misses. It buys a tail attack and hits the Reciprocator, then kills the model. The Blightbringer casts its Animus Boiling Blood for 2 Fury. The second unit of War Spears makes an assault attack. The assault shot on the Reciprocator needs a 3 to hit and makes it. It's dice -1 for damage, and the Reciprocator dies. The Enigma Foundry collects a soul. The assault shot on the inverter hits at dice -4. The inverter takes 4 damage to column 6. The charge attack also hits at dice -4. The inverter takes 4 more damage to column 4. The Shredder activates and puts Tenacity on the Deathstalker. He then scoots behind the Blightbringer. The Deathstalker activates and runs to engage the inverter. The Shepherd moves up and heals 1 point to Spiral 5 on the Blightbringer. Thagrosh activates and puts Tenacity on the Blightbringer and heals the Blightbringer for 5 Fury. He then advances up into the zone. Convergence, turn 5. Fire on the inverter remains. It's dice -7 for damage, and the inverter takes no damage. Lucant allocates no focus. The Enigma Foundry bases the inverter and attempts to repair. The check passes, and the inverter is repaired for 1. The Optifex directive runs to base the inverter. The Corollary activates and gains a focus. It advances and performs Power Transfer, allocating 2 focus to the inverter and inducting 1 more. Lucant activates and spends 2 focus to cast Positive Charge on the Corollary. He advances into the wreck marker and engages the Strider Deathstalker. He boosts, needing a 10 to hit, and makes it. This kills the Deathstalker. Lucant buys an attack on the War Spear Chieftain and hits. He boosts damage, rolling straight dice, and kills the model. The Obstructors make another 5-man combined melee attack on the War Spear, and hits. It's straight dice and kills the War Spear. The last 2 make a combined melee attack on the last War Spear and hit. It's dice -3 for damage, and the War Spear takes 2 damage. The inverter advances up and attacks the Blightbringer with the Macro Pummeler and hits. It's dice -2 for damage, and the Blightbringer takes 4 damage to Spiral 1. The Meteor Hammer now swings on a War Spear, needing a 6 to hit, and misses. The inverter buys another attack and hits the War Spear. It boosts damage at dice -1 and kills the War Spear. It buys 1 more attack on the Blightbringer and hits. It's dice -5 for damage, and the Blightbringer takes no damage. Legion, turn 6. Thagrosh leeches 5 Fury, and Athink gives him 1 more, bringing him back to full Fury. He spends 1 to upkeep Draconic Blessing. The Blightbringer puts the Withering Ash aura up and engages Father Lucant. The Blightbringer needs a 7 to hit with the tail and misses. He attacks with a bite and misses as well. He buys a tail attack, which hits at dice +1, and Lucant takes 8 damage. Blightbringer buys another attack and hits. Lucant takes 13 damage, which kills him and leaves us with a Legion victory. Please stay tuned for our post-battle wrap-up where we discuss the game a bit more in depth. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to stay up to date with all things WarGamerGirl, you can follow me on Facebook. And if you'd like to help support my videos, you can do so on Patreon. Now for the discussion. Okay, so I've got Sean and Ben here for our post-game wrap-up. Of course, Sean played Convergence today, and Ben, you might not recognize him from our previous reports because he does not have his crazy,
illustrious beard,
bizarre beard that Anyway, so he was playing Legion today. So why don't we start off by talking a little bit about your list construction, your list design. Sean?
Father Lucant, play a brick. I think it's Watt's list that he won with, or a very similar list to it. Play Lucant, brick up.
Prime Axiom, really good.
Yeah, Prime Axiom, probably not great in this matchup, but always funny to shield guard a Pierre's shot.
Fair enough.
At the same time, if I didn't screen Thags the way I did...
Oh, yeah, true.
Prime Axiom's kind of good.
But I might not have hit.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the drag.
No,
All right.
God,
so,
no.
Ben, your Thagrosh list design,
Yep.
what was the idea?
Blightbringer is amazing. Blightbringer, beautiful model. I don't think he has any more synergies with any other Legion Warlock than Thagrosh 1. Thagrosh Death Shroud makes him more survivable. At the same time, the Blightbringer makes Thagrosh more survivable. And with the feat, that is an 18-point model I can put back on the table that is a pain to kill twice.
Yeah, that's crazy that he can do that with his feet, so.
So considering that, just looking at what synergies I can actually build around that little combo. For some reason, the Warspear Chieftain is FA2, so...
Yeah, I saw that.
And Warspears under the Blightbringer are, again, kind of amazing, because they're thrown weapons, so Draconic Aura benefits their ranged attacks even, so
On
2
top of
units with
having
UAs,
prey,
why not?
Yeah, so.
I went with Strider Deathstalkers because with Sniper, Swift Hunter, Snapfire, they can actually help a lot with the infantry that would otherwise, I think, be very hurting. At which point, I think I had 13 points left. I thought about bringing a Carnivean with this list to just really stack on the armor with the Blightbringer. But because of the infantry thing, I figured being able to put a 5-inch AoE that caused fire would be a bit more beneficial, so in went the Ravagore. 3 points left. Hey, Shredder Shepherd, why not?
Well, you were using that Shepherd a lot. You were definitely running your beasts very hot, so. And then you got to go first, and you were just doing that to just.
I'm slow. I go first.
but you're both slow on the side, right? So it's just about positioning who can do that first, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. And then it seemed like kind of partway in, I guess I'll probably jump around the game a little bit, but you were not able to kill the Prime Axiom.
Nope.
And you got in there with the Blightbringer.
Yes. Before going in, I looked at where I had my War Spears going, oh, I don't know if I just blocked out the Blightbringer. Measured my control area, and it was pretty close. Went for it. Holy cow, I was lucky.
Yeah, it was just barely in.
Less than a hair's width.
Yes.
Less than a hair's
It was
width.
on the base.
And then you rolled kind of low on damage because you averaged it out. You were supposed to do like 52.
52 on average. He had 49 left at that point, I think. So,
He still had like 8 or 9 boxes left, and then the
Ravagore wasn't quite close enough. Speaking of other very tight distances.
Yeah, that one was on the just outside of that. So did you think the game was over at that point, or?
I thought I was going to lose too much on the following turn. Yeah. If I lose both those beasts in the same turn, even if I feat one back, it's not good.
Yeah, because your Fury goes to
2?
Yeah.
Actually, the Bloodbringer can still activate, so he can still rile and pick an aura, but it's still not good.
And then the Prime Axiom having those beasts up in his face, and in a faction that can repair so easily, generally, like he should have been able to.
There were your other high rolls.
He should have been able to do.
Pair 10. Fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then damage was kind of whiffy, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had one turn of, and I know it's confirmation bias, but one turn of bad damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
On a pivotal turn, though, right?
Yeah.
You can't get rid of either. Well, no, the Ravagore died.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
He died.
The Ravagore
died. There wasn't a whole lot of damage on the Blightbringer.
No.
I
Yeah.
thought I almost got one.
He had one left in Spirit.
Yeah.
But even then, at the point of the game we were at, my strategy with the Blightbringer, once he's in, it's like, okay, how much can I heal on this thing? Keep this guy alive, keep that recursion going, and my list is really centered around that one piece.
Yeah.
Speaking of recursion, those obstructors were awesome. They were doing everything they had to do, and that Enigma Foundry just kept it going
other
too.
than missing on
Oh,
They were doing okay.
5-man CMA, I think they were not under positive charge at that point.
No.
It wouldn't have mattered.
didn't
You rolled
matter.
2
No,
ones.
I know, but it was still one of those. If they were, I think they might have been under positive charge. I don't remember at this point. +7, so they were like Matt 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At POW 18.
And that's why it's always better to have maybe 2 big CMAs than 1, because that could always happen.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I thought they were pretty good, and then your multi-wound guys seemed like they stuck around for a long time. It was just the fire, I guess, that ended up getting them eventually.
Fire hurt them to the point I could remove them easier later on in the game.
So heavy attrition on both sides.
Yeah.
Fire kind of helped tilt it, and then there was
something.
I think 2 fire rolls went my way and went out
Probably.
out of 8 or 10, so whatever.
Yeah. But still, something else to mention about the recursion, in fact, are the Enigma foundries.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't attack the multi-wound guys that often until I knew I could clear 2 or 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
If I couldn't somewhat reliably kill 4 or more of whatever your small base the obstructors, I just didn't even bother.
Because they're collecting the soul and they just put them right back out. Yeah.
What I do is potentially give them a better position, so I'm going to leave them where they're at.
Fair enough. So, yeah, overall, I'm trying to think if there's any other thing. The Optifix Director didn't really do much other than fail a repair check.
One of them lit on fire, and that was the one that went out.
No, it was the Enigma Foundry that went out.
Oh, that's right, that guy went out too.
I totally lost my train of thought. So, yeah, either way. Overall, I think it was an interesting game. You guys have played against each other before.
Yeah, I've played this very similar matchup before, not the exact list, but I already know both lists very grindy, very attrition based. And it's another one of those we kind of went in knowing this is probably going to take a while.
Yeah, heavy attrition on both sides was ugh. So, yeah, overall, did you have any changes you would make to your list? Like a better list to bring in something like
No, I'd probably
Thagrosh?
drop Lucant into Legion.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because he makes him kind of sad. Makes him kind of mopey.
Fair enough.
And Legion in general has a problem cracking armor, so bringing someone who can skew armor like that
It's +4?
on the feet plus
feats
4,
4, decels 2 and 2.
Oh, that's right, and deceleration turn after turn, so that's really good.
So it's 6 against shooting on feet turn.
Yeah. For my list in particular, one of the changes I have been debating, I just don't have the models for it yet, take out the 2 Strider Deathstalkers, take out the second unit of War Spears, and actually bring in the Raptors and Anissa Rival? Is that the Cav Solo?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and bring in that package. So now I have fast, light Cav guns.
Would they have hit hard enough to do the damage they needed to in this kind of matchup?
Not in this one in particular, because they're really good against living models.
Gotcha.
But it's still kind of the mobility thing. It gives me it allows me to do a bit more on scenario.
Yeah.
And again, it's at least some attacks I can get out there earlier.
Which in this scenario, you didn't really, you not losing on scenario was obviously a thing.
Yeah.
I think it was Recon, but it didn't really force your armies to do anything in particular to play different, did it? I mean, there's some spreading out maybe, but your list doesn't.
No, as the game went longer, it actually allowed both our armies to start collapsing in the center, because both of us did start fairly spread out, knowing how live this scenario can be. Turns out it wasn't.
Turns out it was a scrum in the middle, which we've never seen that before in Warmachine.
Shocker.
Well, cool. I think I'll probably wrap things up. Sean, this will probably be the last game we have with you for a while. You're moving away.
Yes, I am.
So sad. So I'm going to lose my Cricks, my Convergence. You play Cephalix, which we've never seen, and some Mercs. Anyway, so I'm sad about that. But we'll probably have Ben on. He'll probably count up all the dice and, show everybody all the statistics afterwards.
That's going to happen.
And don't forget, he's got his channel too. You
should have turned left.
Which, if you look that up on YouTube, is it should have turned or should have?
No, should have turned left.
Should have, with the contraction. Should have turned left.
Yep.
So he does more of the tournament style games where it's just a fixed camera angle, and then they talk over it afterward and apparently get inebriated. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Much alcohol is consumed.
So check out his channel too. You'll see more frequent gameplay there.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm doing Warmachine Hordes battle reports. There are some Undercity games in there as well, which is just me and whomever playing Undercity.
Gotcha. Okay, well then that's the video game, so maybe Sean could come back and play a little there. Anyway.
Undercity's a board game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, they don't make
It's
that
the
video
Iron
then?
Kingdoms RPG board game that they've got.
Yeah, there you go. You can tell how often I'm into playing board games.
Tactics is the video game.
Yeah.
Which will be me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.